All right, time for another deep dive with us. And today we're taking on Macbeth. You sent over a few things to get us started, right?
Yep, we've got the play itself, a
Obviously.
Folger edition, which is always helpful.
Yeah, and you know what else? A student guide. Sometimes those have some seriously cool stuff tucked away in them.
It's true.
This deep dive is like your backstage pass to understanding Macbeth. We're going beyond just the plot to figure out what makes this play tick.
I'm excited.
All right, so those witches.
Yeah, how could we not start with them?
Fair is foul and foul is fair. That opening line. Creepy, confusing, and it totally gets stuck in your head. What do you think Shakespeare was going for there?
Oh, he knew what he was doing. He wanted to grab our attention right away, pull us into this world where good and evil are all twisted up like, hey, audience, get ready because things are not what they seem. That line sets the stage for all those moral dilemmas that are coming.
Yeah, like that doubt just hangs over the whole play after that.
Sure. It's no coincidence Macbeth echoes that line later on. It links him to that world of uncertainty.
It's like the witches are casting a spell right from the start, and then boom, we're in a battle scene. We get this bleeding captain talking about Macbeth like he's some kind of superhuman warrior.
I love that part.
That simile he uses, comparing Macbeth to an eagle taking down a sparrow. It's such an intense image.
Shakespeare's a master of language, no doubt about that. But he's also doing some really clever character development here. Like, instantly, we see Macbeth as this hero, this brave warrior. But then those witches are, again, with their prophecy, Thane of Cawdor, then king. That image of the noble eagle, it starts to get a little complicated.
Yeah, like the prophecy adds this whole other layer to him.
For sure.
So we've got this prophecy hanging over everything, and how Macbeth and Banquo react to it, that's so interesting. Banquo is pretty skeptical, like, wait, what? Is this real? Better ask for protection from any cursed thoughts just in case. But Macbeth, you could practically see the wheels turning in his head.
Right, and that's where fate versus free will comes into play. Did the witches make Macbeth do anything?
Like, did they control him?
Right, or did they just plant the seeds and he chose to act on them?
It's such a good question.
Yeah, Shakespeare wants us to think about it. It's like a test. What would you do if you suddenly got told you'd be king?
That's a deep one. Let's talk about Lady Macbeth.
Okay, yes.
She gets that letter from Macbeth and, whoa, talk about ambitious. That unsex me here speech is intense. It's like she wants to get rid of everything that makes her a woman, just to grab power.
It's a speech that's stuck with people for centuries, but it also raises all these questions about gender. Is Lady Macbeth truly evil, or is she acting this way because society won't let her be ambitious as a woman?
It's so relevant even today.
It is, yeah. It's like she's trapped in this system that won't let her be her full self. So she turns to manipulation. She pushes Macbeth, questions his manhood. She becomes the driving force behind the plan to kill King Duncan.
Oh, and speaking of Duncan, I was flipping through the student guide, and it mentioned that Shakespeare took some creative liberties with this story.
Oh, really?
Yeah, apparently in Holinshed's Chronicles, Macbeth actually had a claim to the throne.
Wow, okay.
And his reign wasn't all bad. So Shakespeare kind of deliberately made him more villainous for the play. Amped up the drama a bit.
Makes sense. You got to keep the audience entertained.
Totally. So that whole good guy gone bad thing,
Yeah.
that's all Shakespeare's spin, which makes you realize he was shaping the story to fit the themes he wanted to explore. Ambition, the nature of power, the consequences of violence.
Exactly. And speaking of consequences, let's talk about that murder scene. Shakespeare doesn't hold back.
Oh, no, he doesn't.
It's graphic, it's scary, and it has this huge impact on Macbeth. Remember that line about Neptune's ocean not being able to wash the blood off his hands?
Oh, yeah, he's trying to act so calm and collected, but you can tell deep down he knows he's crossed a line. No coming back from that.
Right. That murder is a turning point in the play. It's the beginning of his downfall. That descent into paranoia and tyranny. And the imagery Shakespeare uses, blood, darkness, hallucinations, it all creates this sense of inescapable guilt, even before anyone knows what he's done.
I've always wondered about the knocking at the gate scene.
Oh, yeah. Right after the murder.
It feels so jarring, so out of place.
Yeah.
Why does Shakespeare do that?
That's a really interesting question. I think he's using it to show a shift. Before that knocking, we were in this supernatural world of witches and prophecies, but then, bam, reality comes knocking, literally.
Right.
And that porter rambling on about hell and damnation, that adds to that whole feeling of moral reckoning. It's like the real world, with all its consequences, is crashing down on Macbeth.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So now Macbeth's king, but he's already spiraling, suspicious of everyone, even his friend Banquo. And that cycle of violence has begun. He's hiring assassins left and right to get rid of anyone he sees as a threat. But here's the thing. even as he's doing all this, he has these moments of regret, like he knows he's messed up,
I know. It's like, dude, you know you're doing bad things, right?
but he can't stop himself.
And that's where Shakespeare makes us think. Is this cycle of violence just inevitable? Once you make a certain choice, is there no going back? Or does Macbeth still have free will? It's up to us to decide. But one thing's clear. Power is corrupting him. Big time. He's not that noble eagle we saw at the beginning anymore.
Okay, and Lady Macbeth. She's unraveling too.
Yeah.
That sleepwalking scene is haunting. She's trying to wash imaginary blood off her hands, saying all this stuff about what's done is done.
It breaks your heart, you know?
Yeah. It's so sad to see how her ambition led her to this. A total psychological breakdown.
It's tragic because it shows she's not just some cold, heartless villain. She's deeply affected by the murders, even though she tried to play it tough at first. It makes you wonder, did she have any other options?
That's a good question.
This was a time when women had very limited choices. Was she just playing the role she thought she had to play to survive?
Oh, that's such a good point. It adds so much more complexity to her character. So we've got Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, both on these downward spirals. I'm dying to know what happens next. What do our sources say about where things go from here?
Buckle up, because things get even wilder. Things get really dark for Macbeth after this. We're actually starting to see those clothing and disguise motifs pop up that we mentioned in the outline.
Oh, right. I was wondering when those would come in. How do they fit into all of this?
It's all about hiding, really. Macbeth is hiding his true self behind this whole mask of being king.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Like, think about it. The robes, the fancy ceremonies. It's all performance.
To cover up what's really going on.
Exactly. All the guilt and paranoia eating him up inside, and everyone else around him, they're all playing the same game, putting on the show of loyalty. But underneath, you can feel the fear. Nobody trusts anyone anymore.
Yeah, it's like the whole kingdom is holding its breath.
Right. And Shakespeare shows this brilliantly with those banquet scenes. First, you have Banquo's ghost appearing to Macbeth. Only he can see it. Everyone else is looking at him like, are you okay? It's like this perfect visual representation of how isolated he's become.
Totally.
Yeah.
Trapped in his own guilt and paranoia.
Exactly. And then later, he's at another banquet giving this big speech about how everything's fine while Lady Macbeth is desperately trying to keep up appearances. But you can just feel it, the tension, everything's about to explode.
It's like a house of cards.
Totally.
Yeah.
One little breeze, and it's all coming down. And that breeze comes in the form of Macduff.
Ah, Macduff, the guy who ran off to England after Duncan's murder.
Right. He's back, and he's got an army. Time to challenge Macbeth.
This is where things get really good. Okay, what does the student guide say about Macduff? I feel like there's something important about him, but it's slipping my mind.
You're right. There is something important. The guide points out that Macduff is the one who discovers Duncan's body. And his reaction, total grief, pure horror. Like, this guy's the opposite of Macbeth. The true good guy. Defender of what's right.
Right, the moral compass of the whole story.
Exactly. He even says something like, confusion now hath made his masterpiece, talking about Macbeth's actions. It's like he knows the whole kingdom's been thrown into chaos because of this one guy.
Oh, and there's that other thing about Macduff, right? The prophecy.
Oh, you mean the one where the witches told Macbeth, no man of woman born shall harm you?
Yes.
Well, guess what?
Ugh.
Macduff was born via cesarean section.
Whoa, wait a minute. Seriously?
Seriously, he's like Macbeth's ultimate weakness.
That's why Macbeth freaks out when he finds out. I totally forgot about that.
It's such a classic Shakespeare move. He gives Macbeth this seemingly impossible to break prophecy and then boom, throws in this tiny detail that changes everything. Like he's saying, fate might exist, but our choices still matter.
Mind blown. It makes you want to go back and reread the whole thing just to catch all those little clues.
I know, right. And speaking of details, the Folger edition points out something really cool about Lady Macbeth's sleepwalking scene.
Okay, what is it?
Back in Shakespeare's time, they believed sleepwalking was a sign of a guilty conscience.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about her mental state. It's like this outward sign of her guilt for everyone to see. Her inner turmoil is spilling out.
Exactly. No hiding from it anymore. And the imagery Shakespeare uses, washing her hands, saying, out, damn spot, out, I say. It's like she can't wash away the guilt.
Like that blood is a stain on her soul.
It goes back to Macbeth and that whole Neptune's ocean thing. Both of them are realizing some actions. You can't undo them. There's no going back.
Powerful stuff.
They crossed a line, and now there's a price to pay. But it's different for each of them, isn't it? Macbeth is facing a physical threat with Macduff and his army. But Lady Macbeth, she's being destroyed from within, all that guilt and madness.
Shakespeare's showing that consequences come in all forms. It's not always about losing power or getting killed. It's also about how it messes you up inside.
Totally. And speaking of consequences, things get even more violent from here on out. Macbeth is terrified of losing everything, so what does he do? Orders the murder of Macduff's entire family.
Oh my gosh, that scene is brutal.
It's awful, just a senseless act of cruelty. I think Shakespeare is showing how far Macbeth has fallen and how violence creates this ripple effect. It's not just about him anymore. Innocent lives are being destroyed, families torn apart. The whole kingdom is living in fear.
And it's not just the physical violence either. Macbeth is constantly manipulating everyone, playing mind games, making people question their own sanity.
You're so right. It's like this toxic environment where everyone's walking on eggshells,
Wow.
waiting for the inevitable explosion.
Which I guess is the final battle.
Exactly. Macduff, wanting revenge for his family, leads the charge against Macbeth. It's the classic showdown. Good versus evil, right versus wrong. But even though we're all on Macduff's side, you can't help but feel uneasy. Like, is this really going to solve anything? Or is it just another turn in this cycle of violence?
So we know Macduff kills Macbeth in the end. But how does Shakespeare handle it? Is it a happy ending? Or is there something more going on?
Oh, it's definitely not a simple ending. This is where all those themes we've been talking about come together.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear what the sources say about this.
Well, first of all, the battle itself isn't just this clear-cut fight between good and evil. Macbeth, even though he's become a tyrant, still shows some bravery, even a little regret. He's complex right to the very end.
So it's not just the bad guy getting what he deserves.
Nope. It makes you think,
What?
was justice anyway. Macduff wants revenge. But is killing Macbeth really going to fix anything?
It's a question that's still relevant today.
Absolutely. And remember that the student guide mentioned the historical context. Shakespeare wrote this play right after the gunpowder plot rocked England.
Oh, right. That attempted assassination of King James III.
Exactly. So these ideas of treason, regicide, who has the right to rule, they were very real fears for Shakespeare's audience.
It's like the play is holding up a mirror to society.
Totally. Shakespeare is making everyone think about what happens when power goes unchecked.
Wow. That adds a whole other dimension to the play.
And that brings us to the final moments. Macbeth is dead, Macduff wins, and Malcolm becomes the new king. But instead of a triumphant ending, there's this lingering feeling of, wait, is everything really okay? Malcolm talks about restoring order, but some of his words sound eerily similar to the stuff Macbeth was saying earlier.
Oh, no. So it's like Shakespeare saying, hey, this whole cycle of violence and ambition, it could easily start all over again.
Exactly. And remember those images of clothes and disguises? Malcolm's putting on the robes of a king, but is he really that different from Macbeth? Can anyone escape the temptations of power?
Okay, so the play ends, but it feels like the conversation is just getting started.
Right. Macbeth is a play that stays with you. It makes you think about these big, complicated questions long after you've finished reading it.
I'm ready for more.
Huh.
What else do our sources tell us?
You know, it's incredible how a play written so long ago can still feel so relevant today. Like all those themes we talked about, ambition, power, guilt. It's like Macbeth is this guide to understanding, well, us, human nature and all its contradictions.
Right. It's like Shakespeare is holding up this mirror, making us confront the darker sides of ourselves, the potential for both good and evil that we all have.
Exactly. And he does it all with this amazing language.
Yeah.
The imagery and symbolism, it's like this secret code that you have to crack to unlock these deeper meanings.
We talked about some of those symbols, the blood, the darkness, the clothing motif, but there's so much more. Like all those references to sleep, or I guess the lack of sleep. Macbeth and Lady Macbeth, neither of them can sleep. They're haunted by what they've done.
It's such a powerful symbol of how messed up they are inside. The guilt is so strong it invades their dreams, they can't escape it.
And the way Shakespeare uses nature is really striking too. Like that line, Macbeth does murder sleep, the innocent sleep. Sleep becomes this pure, vulnerable thing that Macbeth has destroyed. And those storms, it seems like every time something bad is about to happen, a storm breaks out.
It's like Shakespeare is using nature to reflect what's going on emotionally and morally in the play. The storms mirror the chaos that Macbeth has unleashed inside himself and in the kingdom. And remember those bleak, barren landscapes that pop up?
Yeah, it's like everything is dying.
Right. They reflect the emptiness and isolation that Macbeth feels as he pushes everyone away.
The whole world is mirroring his internal state. That's such a cool way to use the setting.
And remember all that animal imagery. All those comparisons to lions, eagles, serpents, creatures that represent power but also danger.
Yeah, he's called a noble lion at the beginning, but by the end, he's more like a trapped animal, lashing out because he's scared and desperate.
It's like Shakespeare is reminding us that anyone, even the most powerful people, can be driven by those primal instincts, fear and wanting to survive no matter what.
Which brings us to, I think, the worst thing Macbeth does. The murder of Macduff's family. It's just so awful.
It's a turning point in the play, for sure. Up until then, you could maybe argue that Macbeth was a victim of circumstances, that he was manipulated by the witches and Lady Macbeth, but this is where he becomes the monster everyone feared he would be.
It also shows that violence just leads to more violence. It's like he started this chain reaction that he can't stop.
And that leads us right back to that big question of fate versus free will. Did Macbeth actually have a choice? Or was he always going to end up like this from the moment the witches gave him that prophecy?
I still don't know. It's so complicated. But I think that's what Shakespeare wants. He wants us to think about these big questions and figure out our own answers.
And that's what makes Macbeth so timeless. It's more than just a story. It's an invitation to really think, to question things, to wrestle with the complexities of what it means to be human.
And it's a reminder that our choices matter. They have consequences that reach far beyond ourselves. What Macbeth does doesn't just affect him. It destroys lives, families, a whole kingdom.
It's a warning about the dangers of letting ambition run wild and how easily power can corrupt. Shakespeare's genius is that he can explore these huge themes in such a captivating way.
After this deep dive, I'm realizing Macbeth isn't just a play, it's an experience. It takes you to these dark places and leaves you feeling all shaken up and definitely wanting more.
Exactly. That's what makes it great art. It sticks with you, makes you think about the big things in life, death, the choices we make.
Okay, so we've cracked the code of Macbeth,
Yeah.
right? We've talked about prophecies and battles and symbols and themes. We really covered it all.
We did. And I hope all of you listening out there feel like you can take on Macbeth now. You've got these insights, you're ready to uncover those deeper layers of meaning.
And hey, maybe you'll even direct your own version someday.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Macbeth is a play that never gets old. It keeps inspiring people, challenging them.
It's all about the complexities of human nature.
And that's a wrap for our deep dive into Macbeth.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep those minds sharp.
See you later.